I recently had the chance to sit down and talk with Shamiel Gary. Shamiel is an author writing children's books. He runs a couple of companies, including a very impressive speaking business. He's a father, and he's a former pro athlete in the National Football League. In our talk, we discussed the importance of those repetitions, those practice drills that we do to keep ourselves sharp. But this time it wasn't about football. It was about life and what we do to keep our mind right. Enjoy. So let me just start out by saying, Shamiel, thank you for agreeing to sit down with me and have a conversation.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
So you and I met at a conference for your alma mater at Oklahoma State University, where you gave a fantastic talk on really on resilience. That's the theme that I took away from that. Mm-hmm. So you and I have had a conversation and follow up, and I wanted to dig in a little bit more because you have had so many life experiences that I think you talk a lot about when you're out speaking with groups of people, both who are, young people in school as well as the business professionals. But I think you have a lot to say that I'm hoping I can kind of tease out maybe some of the things you don't ordinarily talk about in some of your presentations that you make. So one of the things I noticed about you, it really happened when I was having a conversation with you. You asked me several questions and then you listened. And you didn't just listen because you were kind of curious about my answers. You listened, and I could tell, even though it was on the phone, I could tell through your voice and the way that you listened that you were interested in what I had to say.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe listening is an art. It's an art that had to be shoved in my mind when I was a young kid because, my dad would try to explain something to me, and I would respond immediately. And he's like, son, like, how did you respond so fast? And you can't be listening because there's no way you processed exactly what I said to you and you responded. You know what I mean? And typically I would respond from the first 4 words that he said, and I didn't hear the last couple of words that finished the sentence.
Yes.
And if we all think about a time where we've said something and someone has cut us off, and how does that make you feel? And so one thing that I've learned from my dad and my mom is people want to leave you feeling like they were heard, feeling like they were listened to. And that's my goal when I talk to people is I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel like I genuinely care. And it's not like I'm like putting on the front. I really do genuinely care, but that is my intention. And so by that being my intention, I feel like it comes across that way. And so what I try to do is when someone asks a question, I respond, but I try to ask someone a question. And then after they give me the answer, I try to ask like 2 more questions. Generally, most people don't say exactly what they mean the first time. That it takes about 2 to 3 questions before they actually say exactly what they mean. Because we go through there's this barrier of I say love and you say love, but your definition of love is different than my definition of love. So we have to get past that first before I can truly understand what you mean in that statement you just made. And so that's why I believe asking questions and genuinely listening is so key, because everyone has a different definition for words or what is disrespectful or whatever it may be, and there's a level of connection I give you by listening to you like wholeheartly. And so that's why I believe listening is so important, because there's a connection that is being met in that moment, or that is happening. And then 2, you leave being heard. And then 3, I learn more about you. You know what I mean? Like that. That's what it's all about. And now that I learn more about you, I can, connect with you on a deeper level.
Yes. Love it. So one of the things I'll ask you about, because you wrote that we have to learn to dance in the storm, which I took as a metaphor for the fact that life is not just sort of the yellow brick road, right? There's going to be all kinds of ups and downs. And that if we can develop the spirit that says, hey, look, I can be okay when times are tough. I can develop my strength. That's really important. So can you talk a little bit about learning to dance in the storm?
Right. No, I think that's dancing in the storm is pretty much something I got from my mom. My mom is, I got a lot of principles from, my parents and just life lessons as well. But, dancing in the storm is something I see my mom do, she was a manager at an oil company when I was real young, to the oil company moving to Oklahoma City, and she had to make a decision. Do I stay here or do I go where the oil company goes, or and what do I do with Shamiel, because his brothers and his father's there. And so, she made a tough decision to go to Texas instead of taking the oil position. And she came back, and her having cancer. After her battling cancer, I've seen my mom just go through trial after trial after trial, and she always had a smile on her face. She always was wanting to serve other people. She was always looking out for the better interests of other people, And so I've learned from that experience right there. Storms can take different forms. So if you want to define like what a storm is, it could be a mental storm. Many times, like, you could have everything going well in your life, but you're battling self-esteem issues. You're battling not living up to the expectations you had as a kid. Like, you thought you would be at some place, but you're not quite there. And so you're battling that right there. Maybe you don't have confidence. That's a mental storm. Or maybe, you're going through a physical storm with cancer, like my mom just said, and just learning how to build the mental reps, learning how to condition yourself to be able to, even though it's storming, even though it's raining on me, I'm happy. I have the resiliency to push through each day. And we know that, a storm doesn't last forever. There will be a rainbow at the end of the storm. And so if you can learn how to condition yourself and build reps up every single day, the good days will be even better. The bad days won't be as bad, and the great days will be, like heaven. And so that's like my motto right there, is just dancing through the storm. And I've been through, a lot of those, from the mental storms to the physical storms. And, once you really, truly learn how to get reps at dancing in the storm, nothing is ever that bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I love the way you talk about the reps, and it's not just the physical stuff, right? It's a lot of the mental reps too. And so that leads me to ask you about, because you've gone through a career transition. You have joined the elite, right? You competed at the highest level in the greatest team sport that there is,
right?
In the NFL, and then transition out of being a professional athlete into launching a couple of different business ventures. And I'd love to hear you talk about that transition, because when you said mental reps, that got me thinking about that, because I think, especially right now here in 2021, we've just gone through, we're not even through the pandemic. And from a employment standpoint, so many people have been out of work. They're going through a transition. They will go through a career transition.
Right.
You've gone through that journey. Talk to us a little bit about the mental reps that it takes to shift from being highly focused on one thing and doing it impeccably, and now taking that sharp turn and opening up a whole new door.
Right. No, 100%. And the thing is, with transition, if you actually think about it, we're always kind of transitioning in whatever we're doing, whether it be, if you have kids, maybe you wake up every day and you do the same thing, but you're still kind of transition. You just don't realize you're transitioning, because my daughter went from 3 to 7, but I naturally transitioned from her being that kid that didn't ask too many questions. She jumped around. Now she's giving me a little sass, and now I'm transitioning to like learning how to deal with that right there. And I think just going back to the reps thing with the Storms is once you win that battle of the transition with your daughter, or the mental battle with that Storm, and where you really learn how to dance, now you can put those in your success box. And so whenever you go through a time where it's like, oh shoot, like chaos, what can I do? What do I need to do next? Like, do I have a plan? You need to take a deep breath, slow down, and go back to your success box. And your success box is all the things that you have been through, your adverse moments where you didn't think you were come out of it, and you did, the championships, all that right there. And you realize like, oh shoot, I've been through a situation like this. It may not be the exact same, but I've been through something very similar. And so once you realize that, now you can start connecting the dots and be like, okay, I came through it like that right there. I didn't do it just like that, but I could do it like this. And so now you have a little game plan to get you to the next step. And so that's kind of what helped me with my transition. Was I had to think back, okay, when I got cut from the New England Patriots, I went to the Bears, and what was that transition like for me?
Yeah.
And even though my focus wasn't on like not playing football ever again at that point, but it was still a transition from being in one team to another team. And so I had to connect the dots and be like, okay, I did it like this. How can I do it? How can I use those same things that I did at that moment in this situation? And so I built the game plan from there, and I asked questions. And so that's kind of I wrote an article on something similar to that right there. But I believe if you don't know where you exactly want to go, ask questions. Ask a ton of questions. One of my good teammates, Devin McCourty, he will tell you, I asked him so many questions. Like every single day, I had him go into the film room with me, and hey man, what can I do to get better right here? What do you see right here? I asked him like countless questions. And so one, look back at a situation that you have been through that's something similar. 2, ask questions. And then 3, don't be afraid to dig deep within and pivot and do something different. Even though it may be unknown, that may be the best thing you could have ever done, And so that's my suggestion right there is, 1, you've been through something similar. There's nothing new under the sun. 2, ask questions. And then 3, don't be afraid to do something different, and don't get stuck in this box of like, okay, I've been doing this job for 20 years. What's your passion? What do you love? What rejuvenates you? What makes you happy? And don't be afraid to start over and do something new.
I love the way you talk about connecting those dots and looking at what is it that I have within me that I've already been through a challenge like this before. It just wasn't, it wasn't all the same people, wasn't the same scenery. So How do I translate that? I think that is a real skill that sometimes it's hard for us to do that because we are such creatures of habit, right? We get into doing things a certain way. So like the way you talk about connecting dots, it also leads me to ask you, what's on your mind these days? You talk about digging within and looking for, what is it I'm really passionate, interested in? Do you have a mantra that you're using these days to stay inspired?
Right. I mean, so I have 2 at the moment that I'm kind of, or maybe 3 really. So I'm really, a fun fact about myself is, I love anime. I know the talk that you heard me, I didn't mention the anime part, but I love anime with a passion. And so when I was watching an anime episode 2 days ago, there was a point where this kid, he was training, he was trying to get strong, he was trying to get faster, and he was going through his crucible. And I think we all need that crucible moment that defines who we are. And as he's going through it, he's like, man, I want to quit. But there's this voice that we all have in our head that either it's either speaking very loud, either in two directions, either in a negative place or in a positive place that's going to continue to light our fire so we can continue to go forward. And in that moment, he's like, I got all these people depending on me. I can't quit. I'm a warrior. I'm a champion. And so that's what's been really on my mind, is being very intentional as I'm sending emails, as I'm writing a plan, as I'm walking, just like being my biggest fan, being my biggest champion, lighting that fire up underneath me. Because in all honesty, no one else is going to do it. Like, as much as I want other people to text me and hold me accountable, no one's going to do it like I'm going to do it. So that's what I've been big on. Like, Shamiel, don't leave this earth with any regrets. That's what I've been saying to myself a lot lately. You can't leave this earth with any regrets. Your family's dependent on you. So I just do intentional self-talk. And then I'm very big on right now is not living a life with regrets.
That's some gold right there, my friend. Being our own biggest champion and cheerleader. I mean, it's great when other people do it for us, right? But at the end of the day, that responsibility and opportunity is squarely within our own hearts, and really taking advantage of that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if you think about it, I think there's a study that, or there was some type of statistic that was out there about how many thoughts run through our mind, and majority of those thoughts are negative thoughts. And so how intentional are you with what you're putting in your mind? I'm so intentional to the point where I went on GarageBand. I wrote out a list of affirmations. I got this mic and I did the affirmations, and I put a beat behind it, and I listened to that a couple of times throughout the day, because I want to be I want to, that Migos song, Bad and Bougie, or whatever song you listen to. I want to have my own voice on repeat throughout the day. So that's how.
If we see you jamming out, it's you're talking to yourself.
To me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Any final words that you'd like to share?
I think final words is this right here. Whatever you want to do, whatever you think you should do it, take action, and get the reps at it. At the end of the day, I talked about reps earlier in the storm, but reps are so big. Be consistent. I don't care if, one day you don't feel like it. Just get 5 reps or something. Stretch a little bit. Say you wanted to wake up at 4:30, and I'm challenging myself with this too as well, because if I know I have to wake up early for something, I will wake up. But the biggest takeaway is this right here: is get reps, be consistent, and be consistent when you don't feel like it. Because guess what? Every day you're not going to be motivated. Every day you're not going to be inspired. But when you do things when you don't feel like it, you will build a muscle that is conditioned to do the right thing, even when everything is not going your way. And when you're consistent, when things aren't going your way, good things happen. That's when luck kind of shows its face. And so that's what I would share with your audience is just be consistent. Get the reps at being patient. Get the reps at doing a workout. Get the reps at doing something that makes you afraid. Every week I try to do something, like at least one thing that scares the living mess out of me. You know what I mean? Like, just do something, get reps at everything that you want to get better at. And eventually 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you'll be like, dang, this is easy. But 3 years ago, it was the hardest thing in the world. So that's what I will leave us with.
That's great, Shamiel. I am inspired. I appreciate your time, your attention, and I appreciate the work that you do and the way you're living your life.